This is no boring Las Vegas convention. It's the American Express Publishing Luxury Summit, which is like the G20 meeting of the luxury world, when the global brain trust comes together once a year to talk, hang out, and maybe drink a little. We're here to grill them, get some insights and some predictions about what's going to come up in the next year and beyond.
We think that this shift in spending power in luxury in particular is moving from developed to emerging. And the most important thing is, in the next few years, we'll have 200 cities in China with over 1 million consumers. And so we think there's an important opportunity to tap into that emerging wealth.
There are 2 points of view on globalization. Yes, it's a phenomenon, or no, it doesn't apply to luxury at all.
I'm a big anti-globalization person. What's luxurious in Morocco is not what's luxurious in Madrid. And what's luxurious in Paris is not the same luxury as in Cape Town.
The luxury consumer in Russia is very similar to the luxury consumer in China and the luxury consumer in Buenos Aires, for example. Depends on what brands they've been exposed to. But since these people travel constantly and consistently, even the brands that they can't get in their own countries, in their own hometowns, they can go out and they'll go out and they will experience them in other places around the world.
There's been a lot of talk about connoisseurship, a sort of tell me why moment when people want to know why they should spend. Talk to me about that, how that factors for you. Do you think that's important?
I think it's more important than ever to justify the value of a purchase. I think the tagline of where we're living right now is value and values. And so we've got to convince people why it's worth it. It's no longer enough to just say I'm going to indulge. It has to be worth something to me. It has to be a story I'm going to retell.
More than connoisseurship, it's about specialization. What kind of shopper are you? Which brands define you?
They were telling me, about the consumer being so much more precise in how they go about, purchasing their products. More questions, digging deeper in. It's, price is just the beginning point. Then they want to dig in and get more detail.
The term authenticity was constantly bandied about. Great word, but what does it really mean?
But authenticity, to me, is tied to Saks' level of service and a value in what an Hermes Birkin bag is value.
There are some winners and losers, and those that have been most authentic to their luxury heritage, I think, are the ones that will win long term.
There are certain brands that I call the pillars of luxury and almost the fortresses of luxury, that they have weathered this recession intact and are thriving. And certainly the prime example of that is Hermes, where over the last year their profits have soared because they have always stayed the course and have always stood for luxury. Even though everyone knows what a Birkin is, very few people actually have a Birkin.
You see the ads for Louis Vuitton and Hermes, and they're focusing on the way things are made, et cetera, and it's very much about the authenticity of their heritage.
We've just stuck to our plan, and then the tide rises, and then we'll try to rise a little farther than the rest. But I think it was a great period the last 2 years in a certain way. I think we've gained some market share.
But not everyone is Louis Vuitton. Other brands have used the last 2 years as a time to innovate.
It's been an enormously productive year year and a half in terms of changing and challenging everything that we do. We looked at it and said, I've been telling people, let's not let a good recession go to waste, because, really is an opportunity to ask the hard questions about what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want the brand to stand for? What do you want to look like?
Nothing ever comes back the way it was. Everything always evolves. And there are some winners and losers, and those that have been most authentic to their luxury heritage, I think, are the ones that will win long term.
This brings up the idea of microstige. Not mass, not luxury, but just for me.
I think in the last 5 to 10 years, luxury was democratized. And in fact, because we had so much wealth creation, people wanted to participate. And so all of a sudden, luxury became luxury for all. And going forward, that true luxury shopper who was effectively ignored when you had so many people walking through the door, that person's going to be even more demanding in order for him or her to be able to part ways with their money.
So, we've been talking about luxury for 3 days. I feel like we've been shopping on Madison Avenue in discussion terms. What's the big thing you've learned? What are you going to go home and tell your wife tonight?
Well, there's been a lot of positive news I think is really important that we want to share. I mean, the consumer is feeling better. Right? The economy is feeling better. So we see brighter days ahead, and I think that permeated throughout the room from everybody that we were talking to. So I think that's critically important. having not been here last year, we didn't do the summit in 09. Coming back and gathering together again, and a sense of real positive energy, I think was a great benefit to me, and I think most people in the room about this summit this year.
So that's it, the end of a 3-day orgy of luxury discussion, which threw out some really interesting new trends. I'm Mark Elwood for Plum TV on a luxurious assignment in Las Vegas. We'll see you next year.